Welcome to the Ereboo Community Centre. My name's Belinda and I'm here today to make a puffed chocolate slice with you. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to get this on the stove while I show you the other things, is I put in here, we've got cocoa, vanilla extract, tahini. Now we've got tahini in here. If you, this is for school, so you can't use nuts in most schools. So if you want to use peanut butter, that's okay too. We've got coconut oil and honey as well. So I'm just going to pop that all on the stove to start with. We'll give that just a little stir and then it'll start to coconut oil and the tahini will start to melt everything through. Now while that's happening, we'll get our bowl, and I've just got some puffed rice cereal. You can use puffed rice, puffed millet, whatever you like. I've just got a little bit of a mixture here. And then we've also got seeds, pepitas, sunflower seeds and coconut. If you'd like to add nuts to this, that's fine. Just remember, if you're taking it to school, most schools don't allow you to put nuts in here. So you're just going to mix that all together. Mix it all together. And this is going to be our dry ingredients for our slice. Set that up. And we'll come back over to our stove and it's melting. I'm not sure if you can see that there. Everything's starting to melt. So the honey will become more runny as it melts, and the coconut oil will melt here too. I'll just give this a stir and let it do its thing for a little bit. So what you'll need also is a slice tin. Now I've lined mine with baking paper because I find that the easiest. Up to you. If you have, I prefer to use, for this recipe in particular, I prefer to use a metal tin, not a silicone tin, so that you can actually press it in a little bit easier to the base of the tin. And the other thing you can do with this one, if you really are a chocolate lover, you can also drizzle some melted chocolate over the top once it is cool, and yeah, go from there. So this is getting nice and thick, and if you can see that, it's starting to melt nicely. So keep stirring it. And once you have, this recipe will also be available in the comments. You can download the recipe. When you have the recipe, you can also change things up in the recipe. As I said, you can use peanut butter instead of tahini, or even almond or cashew butter. You can also add in nuts instead of the seeds, your favorites or your kids' favorites, and just give them, chop up the nuts a little bit so that they're not too chunky in the slice. And you can also leave out the chocolate if you don't like cocoa, or flavour it in a different way. That's almost melted now. The last little bits of coconut oil to melt. So it should look like a runny, very runny liquid. You can just see there's a couple of chunks there of the coconut oil. Just about there. Oh, there's one more. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, make sure you turn your stove off when you take something off the heat. And we're just going to pour the two together. I like to scrape it out really good because I love chocolate. make sure you stir this in fairly quickly, because the coconut oil will start to cool again and it goes hard at room temperature. So what we want to do is just make sure everything is coated in that chocolate mixture. Okay, that looks pretty good. You can use shredded coconut if you like instead of the desiccated coconut. That's all good too. Honey or rice malt syrup, either way, depending on how sweet you would like it. Okay, so that's all nicely covered. And we're going to pop it into our tray. And then we're going to press it down pretty hard, pretty firmly. Now, I did make this for my girls once and they decided to add chopped chips to it as well. So double chocolate, which they love their chocolate. So that's another option that you can as well. You know, add in some dark chopped chips or something too. Okay, so there we have our slice. So I'm going to chuck this in the oven just for 15 minutes or so. Once it's completely cool, then you can cut it up into sections, and then we have your puffed chocolate slice.